Hey everyone, welcome in to another daily editorial here on the KE Report. I'm getting an update from Kodiak Copper, traded on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol KDK and on the OTCQB under the symbol KDKCF. I am chatting with the president and CEO, Claudia Tornquist. Kodiak Copper focused at the MPD copper gold porphyry project in south central British Columbia. Now, Claudia, it's been a while since I last had you on the show. When we were talking more last year and at the beginning of this year, the company was very much focused on one, maybe two key zones for exploration on this project. But this year's exploration program was a bit of a different focus here. You planned around 20,000 meters, and from my understanding, you're testing all kinds of different targets on the property. Can you please give us an overview of the shift in focus for this year's program, please?
Yes, you're right, Corey. This year again was a very big program, just like the previous 2 years, similar in size. We drilled around about 20,000 meters, but it was in many ways a very different program in that we did not drill the gate zone anymore, our first high-grade discovery on which the last 2 years were focused. And this year we drilled again 20,000 meters, but on 5 new targets. Essentially, targets very similar to Gate in that they had mostly shallow historic drilling, but had never tested deeper. And so this year we took the approach that brought discovery success at Gate and drilled deeper at those new targets with the aim to find high-grade mineralization. And really, this year's drill program is all about building scale and scope and building critical mass for the project. At the beginning of the year, we just had the gate zone. That was big, nice, high-grade porphyry center. And it's all about showing that MPD is not just the gate zone, but we have in total 18 targets, 5 of them tested this year. And it's about now just building scale and building this critical mass.
Can you give us a bit of an overview on these 5 new targets that are being tested this year, please?
We have tested them actually. We just completed our drill program, and the 5 targets we tested this year were we started at the west zone in the southern part of our property. Then in June, we added the second drill, and that was at the man zone in the northern part of the property. And then the other 3 targets we drilled were the south zone, the Beyer zone, and the 1516 zone.
So we already have a couple drill results out then. The man zone, we had the first 2 holes released in November. At the west zone, we've had results back in October and July. Give us some of the highlights of those results, please.
Yes, the first results came from west because that's where we started. And we had some really nice results from that zone and had the best hole was mineralization over 941 meters and good, nice high-grade zones in these long intercepts. So we found mineralization from surface down to almost a kilometer and have extended the west zone now to about 650 times 350 meters, so quite sizable already. And we saw lots of all the right things. Like we had some shallow high-grade copper, like 1.17% copper right from surface, over 39 meters, for example. We found at depth a hydrothermal breccia zone, which our geologists were very excited about. That's a very exciting development in that those zones are really high temperature, high pressure zones that are indicative of high grade potential and also more mineralization potential at further depth. This is the source essentially of these breccias. So that's also an exciting development. And yeah, all in all, we were very happy with what we found with the first so far 9 holes at the west zone.
So there's still a lot of results to come. You said 9 holes have been released. I believe you drilled right around 30 holes. Can you give us a little preview what we should all be watching out for some of the future holes?
Well, so far we have results from 2 zones, west, which I just spoke about, and then we just had some results, 2 holes from the man zone, which were also promising, also mineralization down to almost a kilometer. I think from man, we had the deepest mineralized hole down to 995 meters. So also a promising start. And yeah, the other 3 zones that we tested this year, 15, 16, South and Beyer, we will have the results coming. I'm quite confident that we'll have more results this side of year end and then the rest in 2024. But the majority, about 2/3 of the holes of this year's program are yet to come. So lots of news flow and more discoveries, hopefully over the next couple of months.
So is this going to be the continued strategy for the company? As you mentioned, 18 targets across the project. Are you just going to continue to test all these targets in order through the next few years?
We certainly are not short of targets, and we are starting now to plan next year's work and have already prioritized some areas that we will be testing. And you're right, we will be testing further targets and new areas and continue to build critical mass and building scale at MPD.
Now, would you potentially go back to any of these discoveries, any of these zones, and work on continuing to grow them in size, in scale, maybe even move towards some sort of a resource?
Well, the zones we have drilled this year certainly are all open still because we only have a couple of holes into them. And man, for example, is interesting in particular because it's very close to Gate. It's about a kilometer south of Gate. And so obviously now that we found really deep mineralization at man as well, just like at Gate, the area between the two is an area we will most certainly test in future exploration. So there are lots of targets that we do have already that are very promising. And then we also did a big geophysical and geochemical program this year and lots of prospecting, and more new targets will come out of that work too. So yeah, lots more to come. We really only made a start at MPD and there is still lots of potential.
It sounds like it. 18 total targets. Sounds like you're still working up more targets. How much capital does the company have to continue to explore and make new discoveries?
We have currently 6 million in the treasury, so are still well funded. That's after the majority of this year's exploration program has been paid for. So in a good place because obviously the markets are rather weak, not just for us, but for everybody. But we still have money in the treasury, and that's very important at this time.
Yes, it is. Claudia, I think that brings us up to speed on this different focus for the company's drill program this year. I'll follow up with you as some more news comes out on these different zones from all the drilling this year. I'll also post a link below this interview to the news section for the company so everyone can read over those recent drill results. And please, everyone, send me any questions you have for Claudia, especially regarding the drill program and any of the zones that were drilled this year. So, Claudia, thank you very much for this update, and I'll follow up with you as some more drill results are released.
Thank you, Corey.